and welcome to We Are the Table. And today we have Zoe Tink, and we are filming at the Swab offices today. So Swab is our major sponsor. We're in the beautiful Sydney CBD, overlooking amazing construction of the new metro,
which is everywhere in Sydney, let me tell you.
But Zoe, welcome
Yes.
to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to be on.
Of course.
Well, we've tried to meet up a couple of times and it hasn't worked, but no, thank you for getting on a train.
No dramas. I did 2 trains to get here, by the way, which was not that easy, can I tell you?
So you've had a morning?
I've had a morning, my love, but I ran up and down Hunter Street, the shortest street in Sydney, about 35,000 times to find number 20, but here we are. So thank you, Swab, and thank you for having me today. Steve.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So we're going to dive straight into it.
Go.
I want you to tell us, what do you do? Because you're a woman with a few hats.
I am.
We're going to unpack a lot of it today. So shoot.
Okay, so I've been doing real estate recruitment in Sydney for just shy of 12 years.
Wow.
Started with a big corporate company called Hayes Recruitment back in the day in Parramatta when I first moved here. I did accountancy and finance with them, which I just found a little bit too boring. So then why not dive into the world of real estate, which has been very entertaining. A lot of personalities to deal with. I don't know whether or not I can say the word ego, but
It's my favourite word. I say it in every episode.
there's a lot of egos in real estate sales, in any sales role, to be fair. So going from a very corporate organisation to quite a loud, vibrant industry like real estate has been challenging. I had to adapt to a lot of personalities and change my way of real estate sales completely, just to understand how to relate to people in this industry, because there's so many as I said, personalities that you just have to adapt to and learn how to speak to and get on the same level as them. And some of them it's very hard to get on the same level as, to be fair. And look, moving on from that, so started a business with a business partner back in 2016 in real estate recruitment here in Sydney. Had a beautiful office in Potts Point, did exceptionally well, became the second largest real estate recruiter. And then unfortunately we had a falling out. So that was about 4 years ago.
Yep.
And went out on my own, had nothing to my name and a big court case behind me, and thought, what am I going to do and how am I going to come back from this? So I had a few challenges along the way of building my career within the real estate recruitment space. And the last 4 years was a big turning point for me, where I actually had to look at myself in the mirror and go, what am I doing? Where do I want to go? And who am I on my own without my business partner?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the big challenge of looking at myself in the mirror came to fruition. And I went, oh my God, what am I going to do here? And that was the scariest thing I think I've been through since working for myself for the last 12 years, was who am I on my own? So since then, started the recruitment partners, because I just needed some way of making money and continuing to pay my bills, really. So I just found any name I possibly could, which was the recruitment partners. I thought it made a lot of sense. It was very straightforward. It was very obvious. Everyone knew why I was calling. And I've just been working my way through doing the real estate recruitment, but on my own. I've got a few contractors that work for me here and there, but it's not what I want to do long term, and I have realised that on my own. I've done the big world of building a real estate recruitment business previously. It didn't work out. It was very traumatizing with my business partner, and I just didn't want to go down that road again of bringing somebody else along for the ride with me. So just decided to do it on my own, and I have been for 4 years. And now I'm at a crossroads.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's more to life than just recruiting people in real estate recruitment jobs. So that's kind of where I am at the moment, just doing things on my own and seeing where it takes me.
Okay, so let's backstep a second.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up? If you said that when you came to Parramatta and you're working at Hayes, so where were you before?
So I grew up in a country town called Dubbo. I have no idea if you know where Dubbo is. Everyone knows the Dubbo Zoo, correct. Yeah. So a lot of people know Dubbo through the zoo, correct. Born and raised there, moved to multiple schools. Upbringing was very unstable, divorced parents, dad remarried, had 2 kids. We didn't have the closest relationship with our family. I had a very close relationship with my sister at the time. So we kind of went on that adventure together when we were growing up. From there, I moved to Newcastle at the age of 18, packed up my little 206 Peugeot with all my belongings that I had. Went into retail for a little while in Newcastle. Didn't really feel like that was the career for me. Felt like I wanted more and knew I was capable of more. I didn't really know how to make that step happen, especially when I didn't go to university and anything like that. I just went to my HSC, started working 2 weeks afterwards. I didn't really have the education to know how to take that next step into the corporate space. Then from there, moved to, near Wollongong with my parents for a little while. Long story short, break up with the partner at the time. Then started working for Hayes in Wollongong.
Okay.
So learnt how to do recruitment through actually my stepdad, because he was recruited into a business here in Sydney through Hayes Recruitment. He suggested, why don't you go and have a chat with them? So that's how I sort of connected with Hayes. And as I said, started working with them in Wollongong. My parents ended up relocating to Perth. So then I relocated with Hayes to Parramatta. And then from there, kindled a relationship with my sister at the time, who was working for a real estate recruiter in Sydney. I'm sure everybody knows who they are, Goff Recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
So she was working for them, learned a lot through them. And we just decided one day to start our business. And that was our first real estate recruitment company back in 2016.
So for those who don't know, when you mentioned business partner,
Yes,
we're talking about your sister.
we are talking about my sister. Yes.
So, and then obviously that relationship broke down. I'm very conscious that there might be certain things we can and can't talk about.
Yep.
But you mentioned court case.
Yes.
Was that due to restraints?
That was due to a business being taken away from me that I was unaware of was happening for a period of time.
Okay.
And by the time I realised what was going on, it was too late for me to sort of...
Did you instigate those proceedings?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
to protect myself from losing the business.
and from a financial point of view,
Yeah.
like for people who haven't been involved in any type of litigation, how expensive was it?
We're 6 digits.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Within about 3 or 4 months. Their business partner at the time was the one defending me, starting or proceeding with the legal process. So it was actually a lot easier for that said person than it was for me, because I was there.
You had to keep fronting
I
it up.
had to keep fronting up to say, but I can't lose my business because this is what this person has done. And I was defending myself how the only way I knew, which was legally.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anyone around me to help me understand what legalities meant, what was too expensive, what wasn't. I was just following the guidance of a lot of people around me, and I actually didn't do anything wrong in the process. And that's the hardest part, was to walk away and lose everything, as well as a business partner who was also a family member in the process. That was the most horrific part of it, was the family member and their actions. That was really hard. Going down the legal path, it was expensive, and I was very undereducated on how that actually worked. And even if I wasn't in the wrong, it doesn't matter. You've got to follow the process. And that was really, really tough for me to get my head around. I kept asking why. Like, how is this person getting away with this? Like, why am I the one having to front up all these fees and, make all these hard calls and, not know, where I stand, and, they're getting away with everything. How does that work? So that was a pretty tough situation for me. It lasted about 4 or 5 months over the Christmas period, which was really tough as well when there's a family member involved.
Yeah.
But again, the only thing that I can say about that whole experience was how I picked myself up after I went through all of this. It was really tough. I was by myself. I didn't have my family around. I didn't have my parents around. I didn't have a partner.
Did they pick sides?
No, we didn't even really speak to our parents. We didn't have a relationship with them of any sort. So it was just me and this said business partner that were the only people that were in a relationship together with some sort within the family. So losing that person in the business all at once, and then 6 figures of debt and no money and everything gone, I really didn't know what to do or where to go. I didn't know what to do. It was probably the hardest day of my life, signing over the paperwork and realizing that everything I'd ever worked for was based on a signature on a contract to say, you need to walk away, it's getting too expensive. I know you're not in the wrong, but you have to settle because it's just becoming too much and you're not going to be able to pay the bill at the end of this and the business won't exist anymore. So that was the toughest experience that I've been through, and sitting there in my 1-bedroom apartment that I was so proud to buy 2 years earlier, not knowing I was going to lose everything, with a mortgage and, less than the mortgage repayment in my bank account, and, 100 and something thousand dollars in legal fees, was really hard to come back from. But I have to say that was probably the proudest moment of my life, was being able to pick myself up, which I know not many people would be able to do, losing everything and going, okay, tomorrow's a new day. How do I make this happen? How do I get myself up? And what do I do to keep going?
So how did you then pull yourself out of that hole? Like, who do you then pick up the phone to? How do you then go, okay, well, I don't have that business anymore, something that I've built up. I've got a reputation. I've got a name that people know me for. Like, how do you then reassess all of that and go, okay, now we need to move forward?
Well, the hardest part is the company name is my last name. And I haven't changed my last name, still working in the same industry. So I'm still losing a lot of business to my old company, thinking they're calling, looking for me. So it's even been tricky even now looking back. And I go, wow, I've really been done one over for so many different reasons. And it's frustrating, but at the same time, I mean, I know that other person couldn't do what I do and come back from this. And I'm stronger than what a lot of people around me thought I was until I was put in this position. And I actually called a client of mine who'd never met me before and said to him, look, we've done recruitment together a few times. You said that you would help me one day because you said, I feel like you're worth more than just doing real estate recruitment. And I thought that was a beautiful compliment to give me. And I called him and I went, you know what, I'm screwed right now. I don't know how else to say it, excuse me, but I was. And I had no other option. And I called him and I said, I need $20,000 to get back on my feet because I can't
Get out of this
get out of this hole. Never met me, put $20,000 in my bank account that afternoon as a real estate client here in Sydney. And he's the reason that I was able to get back on my feet, build a bit of a company, buy the domain and the website and just all those little bits and pieces you need to restart. And he was my saving grace to get to where I am now. I just needed that little bit of cash to get back on my feet. And I worked so hard for the first 6 months that I paid back every debt that I had, was able to hold my apartment.
So good.
And started to put a smile on my face again, because I lost everything, but I gained so much. And I'm actually really grateful that old business partner of mine did what they did to me, because I've realized my strength and I've realized I've got so much more to give than just being a real estate recruiter and that's all I do. I can mentor people. I can let people know it's okay because I've experienced the worst and I've experienced the best. And I know that when I speak, it comes from an educational piece, that I've actually stood those tests and I've walked those walks. And a lot of people in the mentoring space, they feel sometimes say and do a lot, but they've never really walked the path that sometimes they necessarily try and educate to others. Whereas now, something that I would like to look at is, how do I help other people overcome really hard situations and know that they can come out the other side? So I think that's sort of something I'd like to do in the future, is go into that mentor space and help people that have lost a lot in business and know that they can come back from it. Because if I can in my position, anybody can. So I think that's really important, is nothing is ever as bad as what you think. You can come back from it.
That's really a really, really strong message. And, one of the episodes that we actually released today with Katrina Tarrant touches on mental health significantly, especially in the real estate space. And, the fact that you had the courage to contact someone who you'd never met, but obviously, got a beautiful compliment from them, that you felt comfortable and confident enough to say, I really need a hand here. Are you able to help me? And shout out to him for seeing somebody in need, not asking any questions, and you know, giving you that money without having met you. I think that's love. But, you know, I don't know if we can name names, but I think I know who you're talking about.
I'm happy to name him because I think it's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Marshall Cobb.
I thought it was
Marshall Cobb from Stone Projects, Lower North Shore. He does a lot with them. He's actually just going into a new venture, which you should probably have him on here because he's got a lot. He's got a lot to. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, he's not allowed to be here. But shout out to Marshall because he is a wonderful man and he helped me when I was down and out at my worst. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Okay, so then on the topic of business partners,
yes,
you got into business with someone obviously who you thought it was just going to be a slam dunk, right? Like your family.
100%.
How do you avoid a situation like that occurring? Like, what advice do you have for people who are considering getting into business with someone? And like, I see it from the legal side a lot of the time where, you know, so-and-so is going to merge over here, or they approach me and say, you know, we've got this great business proposition. We're going to smash our two businesses together. And look, in some instances it works phenomenally, but in other instances it can end up really, really badly. So what are your top tips about going into business with somebody? Like, what would you look out for?
Top tips, I mean, from my experience, I would say don't go into business with family. But look, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case with everybody. So I don't want anybody to walk away thinking, oh my God, don't go into business with family. What you need to understand is making sure that you're both aware that you've legally done it right from the start, where you cannot do anything wrong to one another. So paperwork,
like a shareholders agreement.
Shareholders agreement, legal documents that are written out to the third degree, where even if something does go wrong, and having the conversation up front to say, look, I know it's really bad to talk about it, but if it does go wrong, we need to make sure we have XYZ in place in the documentation. I think that's super important. Secondly, if you're going to go into business with other people, make sure they're as good as you, if not better. So you've got to see them in their form. Do they actually do their job well? Can they perform? Watch them in their world of business. I mean, a lot of people that I find that go into business together are generally from the same industry or doing the same job. So my advice is do it with somebody that you've actually worked with on a day-to-day basis, because you know exactly what you're walking into. You've spent some personal time with them. You get to know them as a business partner, and you get to see them in their true form within their business day to day. And that's so important to make sure you know who you're going into business with. And I mean, just because they have a really good reputation in the business does not mean they're actually a very good business partner. A lot of people are very good at talking their way through. Especially in the sales world, when a lot of good salespeople want to merge with other good salespeople, and you go, oh, okay, that one's a really good talker, but I know that one does really well and actually performs. Are they doing the right thing, or are they doing it just based on a name basis? So you've just got to be really careful that you're going in knowing that you've seen them perform and you know that they can do what they say that they can do.
It's as you're saying, rattling these things off, I'm thinking about, you know, my business partnership. So obviously I was in partnership with Tanya.
Right.
And we worked together before. So we obviously had seen each other work. And then when we decided to go into business together, we're lawyers. We spoke about a shareholders agreement. We never actually signed one. Of all people, lawyers probably should. But we had a beautiful partnership cessation. I wouldn't even say it was an end, because, you know, we subsequently then merged our business with another one. And then, you know, I eventually exited after a couple of years. But, you know, thankfully, Tanya and I are still good friends. And people find that odd. Like, to this day, like, it's been, I don't know, 18 months, almost 2 years since I left. And people still will either say to her or me, oh, how's that going? Or do you still speak to
they're a bit shy about it, right?
Yeah, people are really cautious about how they approach it, thinking that we, you know, had this big breakup and that we're no longer friends or we don't talk. But the reality is, like, we still speak weekly.
But I love that. But I think it's because you two had respect. And you felt it. You knew that you respected each other.
And I think that happens.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They look so far into how much money can we make together that they forget the foundations of a good relationship of any sort, which is, do we respect each other? Are our morals on the same playing field? Are our ethics on the same playing field? And do we actually know each other? As I said, people just get so consumed by how much money we can make and, oh, look at these two big names coming together and, we're the big almighty people that are, going to be bigger than our competitors down the road. And again, as you say, as I said, it comes down to the fact that are you the same person internally? And do you have those respects, that respect level, the morals, the ethics, all of that comes into play. And that's actually more of a foundation than how much money you're going to make. Because
Absolutely.
believe me, if you've got the right foundations with the right person and you're dealing with somebody that's on your level, you will automatically do well together just because you're aligned on a personal level.
Absolutely. So one of the other areas that you have experience in is you broker deals.
Yes.
So whether that's a rent roll,
Yep.
business sale, whatever the case may be. So in that aspect, are you still actively doing?
I'm still actively doing rent roll acquisitions, but not as much as I was before because the market right now, there's a lot of rent rolls for sale and nobody's looking to make a move on them. If anything, we're just trying to advise anyone looking to sell their rent roll, just hold and try and sustain what you have right now. Times are tough and we don't want our clients to have a bad sale and sell for less than it could be worth. And so, working these rent rolls for 20, 30 years. And then all of a sudden the market becomes quite tough like it is right now and they'll sell for less than what it's worth. And that's a really bad advice to tell somebody just sell because you're desperate. Find a way to hold on and see where the market goes. Like it could change in the next 2 months, the next 2 weeks, we don't know. So a lot of the acquisitions I was working on have just been held back. It's been held back.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to sustain for now.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I was actually talking to Tanya last week.
Right.
And we were talking about the state of the market and I was saying, I would say in like the last 2 to 3 months, I've probably had more rent roll deals fall over.
Yes.
In terms of, and it's not from like a seller's, buyer's point of view, it's the seller saying, actually, the sales market has kind of dropped out a little bit.
Yeah.
We're a bit nervous because of that. So we're going to hold our rent roll because we know that's at least guaranteeing we're keeping the doors open. So it's interesting that you're seeing it from, well, you're speaking to your clients and being like,
hold. But I think anyone in real estate right now, even when it comes to vendors and buyers in the real estate world, not even just the rent roll side of things, but a lot of good sales agents should be saying to their vendors, you know what, guys, don't rush into it. Like, let's just hold out, because the market is going to stabilize itself. It's a bit scary at the moment, but just hold fast for a little while. Don't just make dramatic decisions so quickly. I don't think anyone should be advising anybody that they're selling anything for right now.
I think
to just rush.
Definitely not to rush, but I think it goes in swings and roundabouts. Like if you're selling in this market and buying in this market, it's you're getting a good deal. So you might be selling for less than what you might have been able to sell for 6 months ago, but you're also buying for significantly less than what you would have 6 months ago.
Yeah, correct.
So it's definitely an interesting market. A few of I've got we had Suzanne Hibbard on the podcast, so her episode will be released soon. We've got some other big salespeople coming up soon, Simone Azzi too. And their take on the market, it's quite different to hear their take on the market compared to some of their male counterparts when I've listened to some of the podcasts that they've been on. Just how they tackle it differently.
I think females and males tackle things differently 99.9% of the time.
Yes.
And I think we're a little bit more caring and emotional and just want to make sure that they're getting the better deal. We just have a natural instinct to want to look after people.
Do you think your previous business venture would have gone differently if you'd been in partnership with a man as opposed to a woman? Do you think because both of you were emotionally invested,
no,
played into it?
No, because my business partner does not have that emotion.
Okay.
They're very much more a male
energy.
Energy, exactly.
Okay.
So I feel like it wouldn't have gone any different. I feel the only reason it went bad was because they knew me too well. And they knew my weaknesses and they knew how to get around things without me paying attention because the trust was there so dramatically. So if for example, I was asked to sign a piece of paper, I signed it and I didn't really read the fine print because the trust was there. And that's how bad it got, where I was signing things and not really know what I was signing, and money was being moved from accounts and me not really realizing, and so again, coming back to all of that, just don't let them in too deep where they know your weaknesses, where they can use it against you. You've also got to show your strength and show your, why you're there and why you should be a good business partner and sell to each other. When you're first going into the idea of a relationship and a business partnership, I think it's really important that you need to prove your worth and why they should be going into business with you, not just saying, oh well, this is who I am and I'm really good and let's just go with it. I don't think that's a good enough reason to go into partnership. You've really got to sell yourself to one another.
I think that's a very important message about not getting too personal.
Yeah.
And I think that applies from an employer and employee relationship as well.
Agreed.
I think back to my first law job, and I was so close to those partners, and I thought that was my forever home. And I'd been to their house, I knew their children. It was I felt like part of the family. So then when that relationship broke down, it I felt really lost. I felt really lost out of all of that, and I said to myself after that, I will never get as close to any other person in my business place on that level, because it backfired significantly.
I think it's very hard. Exactly what you've just said, I can relate to completely, because you're not only, when something happens and you're leaving that world, that business relationship, but you're leaving a family. And that's really, really tough to come back from, because you get confused between the business and the family relationship, as you've said. And when you leave, you feel like you don't know yourself and that you don't know how to do it without them, because you've become so close to them. You become part of them. You don't, where's my support? Where's my blanket at work that, they love me and I love them, and, we're in a good place and my job's secure and, we all love each other. When you lose that comfort, it's very hard to come back from and reinvent yourself within the business world and not have that comfort. So I agree with you completely. Make sure you definitely keep the balance, because otherwise you can take it too far. And let's be real here, employers can use it against you, and they can take advantage of the relationship that you've created with them. At the end of the day, business is business, and you have to be very careful that you don't allow the manipulation of your part of the family dictate what you're actually deserving in the workplace. I think that's really important.
So then what advice would you give to people in real estate, wherever, that are considering taking legal action or having to defend legal proceedings, whether that's because they, from a recruitment point of view, they've gone to a competitor, they might have taken data, whatever the case may be. Because from my point of view, I'll get phone calls, whether it's from an employer or an employee. And the first thing that I say to both parties is, are you prepared for A, how long this is going to take, and B, how expensive it is going to take? So what would you say to those people who are potentially considering going after an employee or an employee that's having to defend action against them?
I would say the first thing is remove ego.
Okay.
I would say, why are you actually doing this? The reality of going down that legal road, it's horrific. It's ball busting. I didn't go to sleep sometimes until 4 a.m. and woke up at 6 a.m. wondering what email I had and what my next day was bringing. So remove the ego and think to yourself, am I doing this because I'm actually right? Because if you've stolen data, 9 times out of 10, you're not the one that should be defending yourself or going after somebody, right? So you've really got to picture the future and go, okay, I'm happy to lose. Let's just say in a legal battle, especially in this real estate world, people have money to throw around sometimes when it comes to these legal situations. If you don't think that you've got $150,000 to waste, don't even start. And that's how quickly those dollars progress.
Absolutely.
Within 3 weeks, you look and you go, oh my God, how did I just get to $80,000 and we've sent like 4 emails? That's how it feels, but it's the time.
Don't talk to me
No,
out of a job.
no. But it's the time, right? Because lawyers spend so much back end going through
you don't necessarily see.
That you don't see. And there's so many emails, there's so much time they're putting into it. And before you know it, you look at it and you go, okay, well, that makes sense. But oh my God, that was 3 weeks and I'm already here. So honestly,
Especially if we have to move fast.
exactly.
Like if we've got
Yeah.
really strong deadlines that we need to meet.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like we're pulling big hours to try to go through all of those documents.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing where you mentioned the ego,
Oh my God.
like I say to my clients all the time, please take the emotion out of it.
Yep.
Like I know you feel aggrieved, or I know they haven't done the wrong thing, and it's the principle.
Yep.
But the moment they say it's the principle of the matter, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a struggle here, because you're not gonna be able to see reason.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, it really does come down to, you know, settling,
Yep.
which might be really hard pill to swallow.
Yep.
But you've got to think bigger picture. If you can put this to bed, and yes, it might have cost you a significant amount of money in your instance, but in some instances we can settle them quite early on.
Yep.
But if you can close this chapter and then move on to what you're best at doing,
I agree.
then that's priceless.
I agree completely. And that's what I said to my lawyer. And that was the first thing I said to John Biggs, actually. He was a lovely guy. I said to him, look, I don't want to do this because of ego. I just don't want to lose everything I've worked so hard for.
Yeah.
And he went, it's kind of the same thing, because both of them you're emotionally involved in.
Yeah.
And it took me a bit of time to realize, okay, you know what? I can't fight forever. I couldn't work. I was the director of a company, so I would be in competition with the directorship of the business and in breach of my duties. So I couldn't make any money during this time. So it was so difficult. But looking back now, I would just tell anybody that, you know what? Nothing is worth losing so much sleep and energy over. Just let it go. And if you were good enough to do it once, you're good enough to do it again. And next time, if you don't have a business partner and you do it on your own, you feel even better and more proud of yourself that you've gone and done this on your own without your business partner the second time round. This is more personal for me, because that was my experience of, I've done it with a business partner and started from scratch with somebody else. And then I started from scratch on my own. And I feel so much better and more proud of myself now than I did the first time round, because I did it on my own.
Yeah.
And I know not many people can do that. And especially starting, you know, on the minus and not having a floor to stand on and going, how the heck do I do this? And coming back from that, that was the proudest moment of my life that I've had.
Amazing. I like that. I'm so glad you're through that.
Thank you. Me too.
To bigger and better. So the recruitment landscape has obviously changed in the time that, you know, I actually got recruited by Goff back in, I want to say 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
Ella and Rhiannon put me into Run Property, that then became McGrath. And what are you seeing in the recruitment space now in terms of, from a property management point of view, for instance, right? What are people looking for when they're hiring a property manager? Because I've heard that it is hard to find good talent, retain good talent, pay good talent.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, Rhiannon and Ella from Goff, I just have to say, two of the best recruiters in Sydney, and I respect them immensely. They've been doing this a very long time, and it's not an easy gig. So well done, ladies. Secondly, coming to property management. Oh my goodness. I don't think there's ever been an easy placement in property management as far as finding quality candidates. And again, there's just never been a client going, oh yeah, I'm willing to pay, let's say $100,000, and a candidate turning around and saying, yes, that's exactly what I want. It's never just been easy to get the two to combine, right? And I mean, especially now, because a lot of people in the property management space left during COVID. They went, you know what is the point in sitting here doing property management for, you know, 80, 90, 100 grand. Seniors get a little bit more, obviously, but just being a property manager, they've spent a few years getting up to that point anyway, of that $80,000 to $100,000. And they can go and work at a bank teller and get $85,000 a year and not have to deal with all the headaches of property management and the phone calls and the after-hour phone calls and the pressure from the owners of these real estate agencies. Like, they all put so much pressure on their property managers. And I feel really sad for some of the property managers, because a lot of people that run real estate agencies have never worked in property management before in their life.
Truth.
So they have no idea what property managers are actually going through on a day-to-day basis. And that's one of the hardest parts of my business, is trying to make real estate business owners understand the value of a good property manager and just pay the extra $5,000. Do you know how much money you can save if you just give the property managers the pay rise every year rather than losing two every year, paying two recruitment fees every 12 months because you're unwilling to negotiate with your current staff because their egos get in the way and, oh, you're replaceable, I'll just find somebody else.
And then the managements walk out as well because they have had a good relationship.
100%. 100%. So again, I don't believe that property managers, I'm so sorry to a lot of my clients that are going to hate me when I say this, but they don't get paid enough for what they do.
Preach.
They don't. It's the solid truth. I've been doing this 12 years as a recruiter every day. I know. And unfortunately, they don't. And if you can't afford to pay your property managers the amount of money that they deserve, then you need to have a look at your management fees. Figure out something internally that you need to change rather than the property managers having to change. They're deserving of the money that they get paid. So another big thing is travel. Right. Majority of the property managers that I work with are female orientated and they're parents. They need the flexibility. Why would you not give them the flexibility? We've got all these CRMs that you can work on all around the world now. And they still don't want to provide the flexibility. No, you've got to be in the office Monday to Friday. No flexibility. Some of the best property managers are mums. Okay, just throwing it out there because they know they've got to be on a timeline, and they're not. It's not just about the job that they do. They've got to be on a timeline because they've got kids to pick up at 3:30. They've got they've got to get the kids to school at 8:30. They've got whatever it is. Their time management is brilliant, and time management is 90% of property management.
Absolutely.
I just need me as a recruiter. I need my clients to just be a little bit more understanding and give a little bit more and be a little bit more flexible, and my job would be easier. They'd have better staff that are happier to go to work every day because they're getting met halfway with the flexibility and getting paid well. And look after a good property manager and they will look after your landlords the way you want them to be looked after, and they're not going to go anywhere else.
Your business flourishes.
Right? It's really not rocket science.
I saw an employment agreement the other day. Somebody asked me to have a look at it. And one of the special conditions in it was we have a strict 9 a.m. start time. And our policy is that you cannot schedule an RDO on a Monday or a Friday unless you have, management approval. Right. And I read that and I just thought, wow, like that's setting the tone from the get-go. Like absolutely you have to put certain barriers and parameters and everything in place because you will always have people who will try to take advantage. Of course. Try to take the piss and whatnot.
Of course.
But that flexibility piece. And I think back to when I was in property management and, I was managing 250 properties on my own.
Which is
we
ridiculous.
Didn't have the technology that we have now. Like I remember I would go out with my digital camera, take 300 photos for an ingoing, come back, plug the SD card into my laptop and type away the ingoing. And then, I'm renting at the moment and when they'd come to do a routine, they come in with a tripod camera, stick it in the room and walk out.
I saw this
and I was like, what are you doing? Like, we're filming the room. And I was like, And then they show me on the iPad that they've got that it pre-populates all of this stuff into a report. The report's done. Like I think back, I was doing 40 plus routines a month. Some of them wouldn't get typed for, 2 or 3 months just because I didn't have the time. But I would upload those photos. I'd send them to landlords, give them, a spiel. But I just think if we had that tech back when I was doing it, we would have been managing 400 on our own.
100%.
The property managers these days are managing, 100, 120?
And they can barely do that now.
They've got Flick It Over or DocuSign, getting stuff sent out like that. Everything is pre-populated, AI, and they're getting these, like, absolutely, it's a tough job. They should be getting paid very well. But there's a disconnect.
There really is.
Between what's at their fingertips. Because I feel like business owners are just like throwing everything. Here, we're investing in all this tech, blah, blah, blah. But they're just not using it properly.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a good point that you've brought up, right? Because on one side, you've got how the property managers are feeling, but then you've got exactly how you've just said. You've got to look at how the business owners feel. Like you were doing that on 2 to 250 properties. Back then, with no tech at all. And you were still thrashing it out. And I mean, I don't think that's a disconnect in real estate. That's a disconnect in the world. And I don't think that it needs to just be drilled into, as I said, the real estate world. This is a generational thing. This goes beyond. This is political. This is like a road that you can go down and talk about for a very long time, right? So again, but I will say that the quality of workers in the last 5 years has changed dramatically. The pool of people that I'm now looking to secure work for and not the same quality that I was dealing with 5 or 6
So they're
years ago.
worse.
They're worse, 100%. People don't want to work. They want to get paid to do less. They've got all the, as you say, as an example, you know, property managers have all this technology at their fingertips, which is fantastic, but we lost a lot of the good property managers during COVID. So a lot of the property managers that we're dealing with now are entry level. So anywhere from 6 to 12 months experience. They've got all this tech at their fingertips and they've got no idea how lucky they are because they never experienced the old days.
No, handwriting on 3 pieces of paper.
I did a little bit of property management back in the day and I did not enjoy that, sis. Let me tell you, sitting there, right, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to get your carpet tunnel from this.
Yeah.
So I gave that up. But a lot of them have no idea and appreciate what they've actually got in front of them with the tech that you talk about now. So they sit there and complain about 100, 150 properties, but they've just got no idea the value of what they've got in front of them. And again, I guess it's also not their fault because they don't know and clients just give it to them and expect them to just jump on and you do your thing, you know, you're the younger generation, you know how IT works, you'll be right, this is your thing. And again, it comes back to management and it comes back to the leadership to turn around and say to them, this is what we used to do. This is how we do it now. Appreciate what we've put in front of you.
Yeah.
If you need any help, let me know. So if you don't have that educational piece, they're not going to put the 2 and 2 together. They're just going to assume that that is the standard.
Absolutely.
So it comes back again, like I said, it's education, it's leadership, and it's the business owners taking a little bit of time to explain how the process works and how lucky they are. If they don't know, you can't get angry at them about it, right?
And I feel like we could even dive into the expectations on them, though, from a litigation point of view, on the landlords and the tenants. And, you know, I got a call yesterday from a client saying we've the tenant was terminated, you know, a couple of months ago because the owner was moving back in. When that termination was issued, the tenant went on TikTok and it got a little bit viral because, you know, she was arguing that it was like a retaliatory type termination notice. Anyway, she had to vacate. The landlord had provided all the necessary evidence. And then fast forward a few months, the landlord has managed to get an exemption from fair trading to relet the property during the exclusion period. And so the agent called going, holy moly, like, what do we do? And I'm like, well, if they've got the exemption, like, they've got the exemption. And they were like, yeah, but from a reputational point of view and an optical point of view, like, what is that going to look like for us? Because this tenant has already gone viral on TikTok before. Chances are she's going to do it again. I was like, well, that's a business decision you guys need to make if you want to go down that path.
Well, I mean, social media is the best and the worst. And I mean, if you put yourself out there as a business, you got to expect that it's going to go both ways.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're not always going to have good feedback on social media and you've just got to ride the roller coaster. I mean, for me, I would take a step back and go, okay, if that's how you want to go, no problem. Let the video lie. And I would do a response to the video. And I'd be like, okay, let's bring it on. Let's really bring some amp into this and make it social. Let's really get the likes going. At least people are talking about it one way or the other. So, I mean, look, there's 2 sides to look at it, but at the end of the day, you've just got to understand that when you put yourself out there as a business owner, when you put yourself out there as a business and you've got people working for you, expect that it's going to be good and bad. That's it.
Absolutely. Okay, let's sidestep.
Okay.
Family.
Yes.
You have a partner.
I do.
How did you guys meet?
I love my current partner. I think he's absolutely
Wait,
okay. No, his name's Valentine. He's French. I love him.
So the way to say it though in French.
Oh my God, I can't say it right. You said it.
So my son's middle name is Valentin.
No way. Oh my God, well, his mum.
I love it, Valentine.
Oh, I think it's gorgeous. Well, his mum set him up for success because not only is he good looking, plays football, but then she gives him a name like Valentin. Everybody's like, oh my God, who is this guy?
So when you say football,
he said football, soccer. So he did a lot of football, soccer back in France, where he's from. He's from a little country town, Connaught-Macaire. I hope I said that right because his family watched this. They're going to laugh if I've said it wrong. But he's come from a really beautiful family. And we randomly met at my 30th birthday. A friend of mine owns a property up on the near Brisbane, Gold Coast. No, Brisbane and Gold Coast. Gold Coast, yeah. Sorry. So he gave us a property up there for the weekend. So I just randomly invited all my friends up for my 30th birthday. And my two gay best friends obviously missed their first flight, as they do, on the Saturday night standard, coming glaze glorying.
Yeah.
And they were running late, so they got off the plane, ran to the front of the taxi line, and there was this gorgeous backpacker at the front of the line, and they just didn't want to wait for the taxi. So they said, oh, can we share a taxi with you? So long behold, the gentleman that they asked to share a taxi with to my 30th birthday is now my partner. And my friends are texting me in the taxi going, oh my God, we've just picked up this French guy. Is there a spare room in the house? Like, blah, blah, blah. Let's meet him. He's a backpacker, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. We've got a spare room. No problems. If I was backpacking, I'd love to go through this experience.
Yeah.
And long behold, we
Did he
stayed
share
in
your room that
contact.
night?
Absolutely not, sis. Oh my God. I am hard to please and I'm hard to get, okay? So that was... Yeah, so that's how we met for the long weekend that we were up there, and he went back to Melbourne where he was from, and I was in Sydney, and I said, look, if you ever want to come up for a weekend, you can stay on the couch, you know, just helping people out when you can. And he came up to stay on my couch for the weekend, and he didn't leave, and that was 4 years ago.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so my partner has been a massive inspiration for me.
Yeah.
He met me 6 months after I'd lost everything, and he's the most motivating, kind person I've ever met. And the one thing he always says to me, which I didn't realize how much I needed, was I'm not leaving. It doesn't matter how much you do, I'm not leaving.
Okay.
And that's kind of started to put my heart and my soul back together. And I think it's really important to have the right partner with you, because if they're not with you, they're against you, and you cannot have the world against you and your partner in your own home against you as well. They've got to back you. They've got to make you feel loved. And as a business owner, I come home sometimes and I'm not the nicest person in the world. I am stressed and something has gone wrong. And my partner has learnt to adapt and support me. And instead of holding it against me, going, what can I do to help you? How can I be here for you? And now he's eventually going to go out and start his own business as well, because he's realized, you know what, if my woman can do it, I can do it too.
Wow, what's he going to do?
So he's stepping into training and assessing.
Okay.
So my stepfather owns an RTO down in Tasmania, and he specialises in training for construction, building, and licensing. So now my partner's going to be doing that here in Sydney. So we're going to be launching that together. And
So recruitment's going to take a bit of a back seat, you think?
I think initially we'll keep that going just for cash flow purposes, let's be real, to help each other out and make sure that the bills are still getting paid. And then if that goes really well, potentially help him with the RTO and the training and assessing side of things. But for now, I'm still going to do the rent roll stuff, still going to do the real estate recruitment stuff, and just see where the sort of the next 6 to 12 months takes me.
Amazing. Marriage on the cards?
Absolutely. I love this guy. I'm just waiting for the ring at this point. I'm like, come on, babe. Everybody's mother's like, it's going to happen, so it's going to happen. And I was like, well, look, if it doesn't happen, I'll just pop out a baby, and then he's got no choice. So wait, I'm winning, okay?
So that's nice.
Yeah,
It's good to see you very happy on social media. He might not be very happy today, though, after France.
No, France lost this morning.
I don't know when this will be released, but yeah,
I think,
bad morning.
Yeah, it's had a very bad morning. I mean, and against Spain, I mean, he's got one of his best mates, Jimmy, over in France, who goes to the Spanish team, and he can't even open the messages from his phone this morning because he's just traumatized by it.
Yeah,
So I think it's going to be a day of mourning in France today, let's be real.
All right. I'm very conscious of time. We could keep talking a lot. But if you weren't doing what you do, what would you be doing?
The most joy I get is helping other people.
Okay.
When I'm out socially, and especially with younger women that are a little bit lost and at university or about to finish school, or they have just finished school and they're just working casual jobs and they don't really know where they're going, and I have a sit down with them and having a drink, and my partner's kind of doing his own thing, I always find I gravitate to a table of 3 or 4 young women, and we end up talking and they start asking me questions about how did you do that? And then all of a sudden I find myself mentoring these younger girls in my spare time when I'm not in my workspace. And I do it because I really love it.
It's like coaching, mentoring.
Coaching, mentoring. Like I've been there. I've experienced starting a business with no money. I've experienced having money and losing everything. I've experienced coming back from it. And I'm still here living. I'm still happy. I'm still proud. I'm still strong. So I feel like if I was to look at where I want to go and what would make me happy and it wasn't recruitment, it would be helping other people and mentoring younger women especially. I feel they really need some direction. I feel like they're very lost. I feel like social media has been a big player in making people feel like the only value you have is how you look and
how many likes you get.
And how many likes you get and how you act on social media. And it's just, I want people to realize, especially younger women, that you do not have to look immaculate because half the time it's fake anyway to be somebody successful and to be seen. You can be seen by your knowledge, your education, how you treat people. There's so many layers and so much more to these younger women, and bullying needs to stop because they don't have certain amount of friends on Facebook and Instagram, and it just goes, it's so many issues that I'm seeing with younger women. And look, it's the same with younger men, don't get me wrong. But we're talking about women, we're in a women's group right now, and I want to stick to that. And I just want younger ladies to understand that they've got so much power, and turn the social media off and look around and really value the people that love you most and talk to people around you, talk to your parents, and communication. And I could just go on and on about this because I'm so passionate about it, because I just hate seeing younger women really not thinking they've got any value because of this social media influence that's been around for a few years now. And it makes me sad seeing some of these younger women as well and what they're going through. And I mean, there's some girls that are taking their lives in kindergarten and year 1 and year 3. Like, who does that? How dare you do that to these younger women? So, and this is also an adventure that I'm looking to go down now, is doing my counselling degree and undertaking supporting younger women, because I can talk the talk because I've walked the walk and I know that where it comes from a good place. So this is definitely something I'm also looking into as well.
Watch this space. I'm so
Watch
excited.
This space. Thank you.
Okay, so on that counselling point, I think you'd be brilliant at it.
Thank you.
Just looking at your social media, and obviously your personal experience, what advice would you give to anybody that is potentially struggling with their mental health? Or, what tips can you give to those who might not necessarily be struggling, but, it's hard. It's hard out there. We're dealing with a cost of living. Everything's more expensive. People are working their asses off. They might not be seeing the returns. The market's going up, down, whatever it's doing. Like, how do you block out that noise? Like, what would be your advice?
I think the worst thing you can do is not say anything at all. So the first thing I would say is, if you're not feeling okay, go and speak to someone about it. I've been through this, and holding it in almost killed me. Like, and this is my truth. Like, I've been through this, so I can honestly, hand on heart, say the one thing that got me through everything was talking to other people about it, was communication. You need to go and speak to somebody. If you're not okay, tell the people that you feel comfortable about and ask for help. It's not a bad thing to ask for help. And I find that people really struggle because they feel like it's embarrassing, and it's embarrassing to talk about the fact that I don't feel okay, and I've got these feelings in my head, or it's a sign of weakness. So never be worried to talk about it, and you're not a failure because you're finding it hard. Everybody's finding it hard, but nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, I can honestly say right now in recruitment, I am not smashing it financially. It is a tough market, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. And I think a lot of people are deflecting by saying, oh, we're having these best months and it's so amazing, because they'd rather admit the truth and pretend to go through it. And that's going to come back and bite them. At some stage, all this stress and all this pretending, it's just going to be too much, and they're going to collapse in the worst way. So I think it's important to acknowledge that when you're not okay, admitting it, that is super important. The other advice I can give people, and I know I talk about this a lot, but social media is really a big thing. And My social media, I look at it in two ways. I want people to know that, yes, I like to look good and I like to feel good because I exercise and I do it through fitness. And I think that's really important to hold yourself to account because it helps me mentally, which is why I put a lot of my health and fitness stuff on my Instagram. But I also do a lot of family and I do a lot with my partner because I want to show that I'm a real person and that it's not all selfies and look at me in my gym outfit and in my bikinis. There's photos of me with my family and his family, and we're going on holidays together, and we're not always looking amazing, but it's just showing that you're a real person and that you're adaptable and you can be seen in so many different ways and still have a, a good following on social media from being a good person. And again, my little quotes that I like to put out there every so often. I think it's really good to wake up in the morning and just read something positive.
Yeah, because it can resonate.
It can resonate with anyone at all. And just be present and be real. And I think if more people were being real and rather than pretending to be somebody they're not, I think there'd be a lot of happier people that felt more comfortable to speak up. So be real and be honest. And if you need help, ask for it. And don't try to be somebody that you're not, because who you are is exactly who you're meant to be, and embrace it.
Yeah, embrace it. Don't want to downplay any of that, but like, if only they could see what we dealt with before. We turned the cameras on properly. I had a complete outfit change. I was like, the mum tum is sticking out.
Oh my
The pants are too tight. Like, but a lot of that, I see on social media people who've given birth and they look phenomenal. And hats off to them.
Crap. Let's be real. No one has their full makeup done when they've just popped out a baby.
No.
It's insane.
Yeah, like I'm a partner in this beautiful law firm. We're in, these beautiful offices in the city. We've got 4 floors.
Yeah.
And from the outside it might look like, oh yeah, everything's
all
rosy,
glamorous.
but mate, every day I'm like, what am I going to wear today? What can I wear to
I get it. I get it. I totally understand. And look, there's days that people have no idea. Like this morning I had a complete mental breakdown before I even turned up today. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not perfect. I come across very strong. I speak well. I understand the best parts of me and I really emphasize them, but there's also the other parts of me that not many people see, and I'm not scared to say, yes, I go home and cry. I get off phone calls sometimes and a client said something to me or a candidate's hung up on me and they made me sad that day because I was emotional wreck and I cried about it. I'm not perfect, and I think it's really important to let people know that being weak and being vulnerable is not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. No one's perfect.
No.
And again, you cannot lose if you just keep going, but you can have an easier journey if you bring other people along with you and you share how you feel along that journey. Don't do it alone. It's too sad. It's too miserable. Bring other people in on your journey and it'll be a safe destination at the end, I'm sure.
So you mentioned you're not perfect. This will help me determine if you are.
Okay, great.
Your chocolate, do you keep it in the fridge or the pantry?
Oh no. Okay.
Wait.
Okay. This is a really hard one because I don't want to. Okay. My partner is a fridge guy. I'm a pantry person.
Oh.
See, I don't like hard chocolate. I don't like hard chocolate. I think it's more flavorsome when it like melts in your mouth and it's a little bit soft already and you're just like, oh my God, get inside me.
So don't need to put it in the safer words, that I'm wanting before that from it. But so many people say pantry, and I actually put a block in the pantry because I was like, what are all these people talking about? It was the messiest bit of chocolate I've ever had.
Hey, but the mess is the best part.
With the melting chocolate in my fingertips.
Maybe if you're really, oh God, I don't know how far I could go with this, but if you're really good with your mouth and your tongue, get it all off this.
Okay, next question. Do you prefer sweet, salty, or savoury?
Sweet, salty, or savoury? Well, personality-wise, I'm all three. But if we're speaking about food, I would say savoury.
Favourite drink?
Are you kidding?
Is it?
Alcohol in general, babe. I mean, I don't know how you break it down.
Okay, favourite wine.
Okay, so Cosmo is probably one of my favourite cocktails.
Okay. We haven't had a Cosmo before.
You haven't?
As in on the podcast.
Okay,
yeah.
On the podcast. But you've done it elsewhere.
They mentioned Cosmo as their fave. We usually get a mug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mugs are overrated. We all have them all the time. Controversial. Here we go. Now I'm going to cause a war. And wine, love a good Merlot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like people actually don't enjoy reds enough. I love
a good red. I'm dating a Frenchman, babe. I
Yeah.
have to love red wine.
Yeah.
Red wine and baguette.
Chilled? Do you like your red wine
Sometimes
chilled?
it depends which
Yeah.
ones they are, but I allow my man to take control of that because he's all over that.
Yeah, we love a good chilled red wine.
Me too.
Favorite overseas destination?
I have to say France.
If it wasn't France, that would have been.
I did have a great time in Ibiza, I have to say.
Oh, really?
So that was a lot of fun.
I've actually got a client in Ibiza at the moment, and I had to speak to him last night. So it was 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm really sorry, but I'm at 4:30. I'm drinking a cup of tea and I'm on." But it was a very funny conversation.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, but in full transparency, I'd have to say that France is probably my destination so far.
Beautiful.
Out of all the places I've been, south of France in particular, I
Yeah.
mean, you cannot beat it. The people, the food, it's the vibe, babe.
Yeah.
It's just a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Yeah.
What handbag do you have?
What handbag don't I have?
Okay.
I'm a handbag girl.
Okay. What brand are you carrying today?
Okay, so well, I've only got my Mimco one today.
Okay.
But normally I love a vintage Gucci. That's something I really invest in. So I've probably got about 6 of those that I've kind of pondered around to find all over.
You're going to have a daughter so you can pass it all down.
Well, exactly. And I bought my first Chanel a few years ago, which was absolutely fantastic for me. It was like the highlight of my life. But that was after I bought my first apartment, not before.
Okay. Do you drive?
I do.
What car do you have?
I have an Audi SQ3.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, so you feel a little bit of zoom power.
Yeah, a little zippy one.
Yeah.
What is your favourite reality TV show? Do you watch
Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives?
Yeah.
Was that reality though?
No, wait, not Desperate Housewives.
Do you
What am
mean
I
like Real
thinking?
Housewives?
Real Housewives. But I mean, a desperate, real.
I was like, Desperate Housewives.
I always say desperate. So Real Housewives, absolutely love it. And Orange County's just brought out their first episode of their new season, which I watched last night and I loved it.
Okay. And favourite restaurant?
Oh, sis. You know, as just Toddy's. Toddy's at Bondi. Absolutely love it. It's my
You're a
favourite.
Toddy's fan.
Yeah, I'm a Toddy's fan. I love it. And I love the little courtyard at the back. It's my fave.
It is. Yeah, it is nice. I haven't been for a while. There is one just down the road, and the line
Is forever and a day long.
every day.
Oh yeah, we always do like 3 or 4 appointments every year and we just book them well in advance as much as we can because we love the courtyard. Everybody wants the courtyard. We feel really cool because we sit in the middle and we become one of the regulars and everyone knows us and we're sitting there with our Aperol spritz like, oh my God, you know us. So we have a great time. Love it.
So, I have loved this chat. I feel like we could keep going, but I keep seeing someone in the corner of my eye giving me signs.
To
like,
stop.
wrap it up.
To wrap it up.
But thank you so much for getting a train, 2 trains.
2 trains, baby girl.
To come all the way into the Sydney CBD.
No worries.
And to have this really open and honest conversation with us. I think a lot of people will take so many key takeaways.
I hope so.
And, you know, I think you're somebody in this industry who, whilst you might not actually work in the sales or the property management, you're dealing with agents.
Yeah.
You're a woman in business. You have had a business collapse, you know, through no fault of your own.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom, now you're here.
Yes, mate. Mic drop.
We play that at the top. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
really
my
appreciate
love.
it.
I've enjoyed it, and I think you're absolutely spectacular. Is the word I'm going for. I think
Thank
you're
you.
wonderful. Thank you, my
Appreciate
love.
it. All right. So thank you again, Zoe, for joining us today on We Are the Table. This episode touched on mental health and suicide. So if you or anybody else you know needs to speak with someone, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.